When it comes to reviewing Dell laptops, I'm always a little scared because there's like a 1 in 2 chance that the laptop I'm reviewing is either going to be mediocre or in some cases outright bad. In fact, there has been no manufacturer in recent times that has a higher bad laptop ratio in my channel than Dell laptops. Now, of course, there are some good ones as well, like the Alienware 16 in recent times, which I totally praised in the review. But in case you think I'm a professional Dell hater, I'm really not. It's just a company that objectively hasn't made the best laptops on the consumer side lately. With that said, I wanted to again, with a clean palette, review the Dell Laptop 16, which is basically the rebranded Inspiron 16. It's their base lineup, and I specifically got one of the lower end configurations with AMD because that's going to be the most popular one globally speaking. The configuration I have here is rocking AMD's Ryzen 5 220 processor. It's got 8 gigabytes of DDR5 memory, a modest 512 gigabyte solid state drive. It's also, of course, got AMD's Radeon integrated graphics. Furthermore, we do have Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth version 5.3, and this is a 16-inch Full HD Plus display. Now look, I don't want to sugarcoat it. That one critical flaw that I've been pretty much highlighting for the past 5 or so years has managed to make its way into this laptop like cancer. It is honestly... it breaks my heart. However, there are a lot of goodies with this laptop too, so before you turn away from this laptop, make sure you watch this whole review because you might want to balance out whether or not this is the right budget laptop for your needs, or if you want to look at some alternatives, so let's get started. When you buy a laptop as basic as this, you get some pretty basic packaging, but I've learned better than to judge a laptop by its packaging at this point. Inside, behind some more protective packaging, here it is, the Dell 16 laptop. Dell's really gone all black this year. I mean, wow, this is like full out. We also do get a 65-watt charging adapter, and surprise, no Type-C charging. We'd rather get a barrel pin adapter. We do also have a wall outlet charging cable piece, which is good for extendability, and then some basic documentation. For most of the available configurations, the Dell 16 laptop does come with a full plastic body. Some of the higher configurations may have an aluminum finish, but this is the standard right here. And if you're concerned about having cheap, flimsy plastic, thankfully that doesn't seem to be the case here. There's a little bit of density around with the plastic, and the rough texture combined with that full black tone actually makes it look like a pretty decent laptop. Now, with that said, keep in mind, plastic is plastic. It's more susceptible to cracking. It does get more wear and tear from heat buildup from the device as the years go on, so that is the nature of the material itself. However, one thing that works in your favor is that you only have a weight of 4.36 pounds for a 16-inch laptop. That's actually not a bad number. I/O port diversity when compared to rivals like the HP OmniBook 5 is lacking. So you do get a DC charging port, but then you get a bare bone HDMI 1.4 port, which means no 2K or 4K support. You do have 2 Type-C ports. One of the Type-C ports does have power delivery and DisplayPort functionality, fortunately. On the other side, you have a lock slot, and then you have a USB-A super speed port, and of course the good old headphone jack. We don't get any sort of SD card reader, so again, a relatively basic layout. Bottom side of this laptop, you will notice you do have bottom front speakers, a plastic lid, and then you have a relatively large area for air intake, though there is a single fan setup, so it's a tad bit dramatic. Today's video is in partnership with i10x. Stop paying for multiple AI platform subscriptions when you can have it all in one place. I'm talking about i10x. It's basically an all-in-one hub that has all the big platforms, including Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Grok, and all the other ones you can think of for one convenient subscription of $8 a month. No, this is not a dream. When these guys reached out to me, I was in just as much shock as you are right now. Let me show you what i10x is all about. Once you sign up, you'll be presented with the dashboard view. However, we're specifically going to go to the left tab over here and show you guys some of the key functions of the i10x tool. Now, the first one, of course, is AI chat. You can simply input whatever query you have, and you can actually select the AI platform or LLM you prefer, and you'll have all the options, or you can leave it in auto mode so it optimizes for the best one based on your query. What if you want to compare 2 separate AI platforms at the same time? Well, you have Chat Arena. You can literally input your query. You can select which platforms you want to compare again. So we can do ChatGPT 5.2 and Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro. And then we can write or ask it to write basically an email that announces my new AI chatbot. And then just like that, you'll notice I'm getting real-time results from both sides, and I can pick the response that seems most appropriate to me. So you have all the popular image generation models. Of course, that includes Google's Nano Banana. So let's say we want to put a prompt that generates a thumbnail for me on YouTube showing the best laptops that I can use as inspiration. I can select the model, put in all those details, and generate an image. And just like that, here you go. You can even produce videos with this thanks to the built-in video generation tool. So we're going to use the ever popular Sora 2 model. Again, you can enter a prompt. So I'll enter hot air balloon in the air. And within a few minutes, we actually have a video based on the duration we selected. You can actually build AI agents straight from this tool. So let's say I want to build a AI agent for title generation. I can use my model of choice. I can enter the input commands as well as my preferences and what I'm looking for. And just like that, I can publish my actual AI chatbot both privately or publicly depending on my personal preference. You can do the same for AI chatbots. That's right. If you're running a business and you prefer to have an AI chatbot, again, you can select the model, you can select the input, and once you've done that, you can actually create a AI chatbot, which you can then publish or use for your business. Just like that, i10x replaces all your other AI subscriptions and brings all of them in one convenient tool for a small price, which is $8 a month. But make sure you go in my video description and specifically check out the link to the product, and also use the discount code ST15 for an additional 15% off your subscription. It's definitely one of the sweetest AI products out there, so make sure you check it out. Unfolding this laptop, things aren't all that bad. In fact, they're actually pretty good. The plastic inner chassis here, again, has a good amount of density. The black color tone goes nicely, and the laptop doesn't feel finicky or flimsy in nature. Now, the trackpad here isn't going to be anything Oscar worthy. You have a noticeable amount of flex, but all things considered, there's still some tactility here. And I have seen worse trackpads in this class segment, so this is actually one of the more decent ones in all fairness. The keyboard is not the most attractive feature of this device. I mean, sure, you've got nice large keycaps, the font is easy to read, it's color coordinated with the rest of the body, which is nice. You also get a 10 keypad, which is good for number crunching productivity, but you do not get any backlighting as standard. However, the real problem with this keyboard is that you have a nominal amount of key travel when you're actually typing, which means this keyboard bottoms out really quickly and really hard, which actually means you're going to build up finger fatigue pretty quickly if you are using it for extensive typing purposes. So if you are going to be typing a lot, you may want to strongly consider that factor. As far as the hinges are concerned, let me show you something funny. So per Dell's own official website, I don't know if you can see, they claim to have tested the hinge mechanism 20,000 times. They're going to have to define what tested means. Did you just like touch it or something? Because these are not the most durable hinges on the planet. The fact is a dual hinge mechanism here exerts a ton of force on the main body, and if you are a rough user, there's a decent chance you will damage the hinge mechanism over the span of a couple of years. So make sure you take some general caution, because clearly Dell's testing is questionable at times. Now, as far as display fitting is concerned, you do have a plastic encasing, which is pretty standard in this class category. You do have a relatively thin chin at the bottom, which is nice to see. The bezels on the side are also pretty narrow and provide for an immersive view. And the top forehead, while not the thinnest in class, is actually relatively thin. At the center, you do have a bare bone HD webcam. It's not going to have a particularly sharp image clarity or resolution. However, it gets the job done for basic productivity. Still here, guys, the fact is these videos are not easy to make. I've spent a ton of time reviewing it and then of course producing the actual content. If you are enjoying it, subscribing to this channel and liking this video would go a long way and keeps me motivated to make more content like this. Let's continue. When you go on Dell's official website, they call this a 2K display, and by technicality they're right, but this is not a quad HD display like you might be thinking. It is very much a full HD plus display. So as far as the specs are concerned, we have a 16-inch IPS panel over here. We get a full HD plus resolution. You also do have a 16:10 aspect ratio. Furthermore, we do have a 60 Hz refresh rate and then a peak brightness of 300 nits, which is a little underwhelming, but thanks to the anti-glare coating, it does get by in most outdoor settings as well. You will also notice you don't have touch captivity with this model. However, you can get an optional touchscreen with a similar resolution and specs. As far as color rating is concerned, it's underwhelming. You've got a 56% sRGB color rating, which is good enough for general viewing, but not great for color-sensitive activities like photo or video editing, or even just watching content that has a lot of color. A quick rundown of the technical specifications. This model specifically does have the Ryzen 5 220 processor, though you can upgrade to a more powerful Ryzen 7 250 processor as well. We do get 8 GB of standard DDR5 memory, which can be upgraded up to 16 GB depending on your region. And then again, we do have AMD's integrated Radeon graphics, which are standard across the board. Keeping in mind, this is supposed to be a basic productivity machine, it does quite well in that regard. Everything from surfing the web to watching 4K content online is a smooth experience. Activities like programming and coding are also perfectly sufficient on here for the most part. Programs like Python work just fine. Now, when you start doing more demanding stuff like 3D modeling, obviously you're going to start seeing performance drop, and the minute you start adding a lot of elements, it becomes a very choppy experience very quickly, particularly because of the 8 GB of memory. But all things considered, you're still technically able to run these programs even if in a choppy state. Now, if you are going to do video editing, it's not a particularly smooth experience. Even at full HD video editing, you can get by with a layer or two, but the minute you add more, you start seeing a lot of frame drops, and it becomes a difficult experience to use the device. And if you're thinking of editing anything higher than full HD, forget it. You should be getting a more powerful laptop. If nothing else, seriously consider getting the 16 GB configuration for a big improvement in performance. In terms of gaming, the Ryzen 5 chip definitely holds its ground. It's able to run games like Counter-Strike Go 2 between low to medium settings at a healthy 40 FPS. It's the 8 GB of memory that really bottlenecks everything. Again, if you can upgrade to 16 GB, you can actually hit 60 FPS even with the Ryzen 5 processor, though the Ryzen 7 will further help elevate that case. So if you are casual gaming, definitely consider upgrading to a more powerful configuration. Remember when I said this laptop still has one critical flaw that's been plaguing Dell laptops for years and years now? We're finally at it. It's thermals. Look, under a unrealistic peak load, this laptop can hit an average surface temperature of 40 degrees Celsius, making it by far the hottest laptop in this class segment. As far as surface temperatures go, a more realistic sustained load will yield around 38 degrees Celsius, which is still about 2 degrees Celsius hotter on average than any other manufacturer with similar specs. But the real problem isn't the heat, it's the noise. Do anything more than run the desktop and the fan pretty much goes close to full RPM, which means you're hitting noise levels close to and often above 50 decibels. And if you are actually pushing this laptop, you're pretty much going to be at max RPM, meaning you're going to be in the mid 50s nonstop. This is absolutely crazy for a laptop running such high efficiency hardware. Like, Dell continues to fail on this year after year. I don't know if their QA team is incompetent. I don't know if they deliberately ignore this problem, what it is, but this is not an engineering problem. This is just pure incompetence, or maybe it's corporate greed and they just don't care. But either way, I am calling you out on this, Dell, and I hope you're watching this video because it's been happening for far too long and it needs to end. On a much better note, you do have some pretty good self-upgradability here. The two DDR5 slots are upgradable, so you can upgrade the RAM down the road. You also do have a single M.2 slot, which is preoccupied, but you can upgrade that as well. And then you also have one more M.2 slot with a 2230 format for upgrading your Wi-Fi card down the road or replacing it if it goes bad. While there is some high efficiency hardware here, with a 41 watt-hour battery, you can expect a real runtime just around 8 hours based on our general productivity use case test. With that said, you will also notice you do have bottom firing speakers, and honestly, they're sufficient for basic use, so they're not going to be particularly great or loud. Here's a summary, guys, with a $600 price tag approximately for the configuration of the Dell 16 we reviewed today. I cannot in good conscience call this the best laptop out there in the budget category, but what I will tell you is that it has made some subtle improvements. The all-plastic body has more density than previous Dell Inspiron models. Also, I appreciate the fact that we get a decent trackpad over here, and while port diversity might not be the best, it's sufficient. Performance is pretty good too, especially at the base level with just 8 GB of memory and a Ryzen 5 220 processor. You can get by with general productivity, but by simply upgrading the RAM to 16 GB, you will notice dramatic increase in overall performance. However, the fundamental flaw of just having such poor thermals on a machine like this is unacceptable in my opinion. This laptop should not be as loud as it is. It doesn't have a discrete GPU, it doesn't have a high performance CPU, yet it certainly makes a noise of one, and that's something that's been an issue with Dell laptops for years and years, like at least 6 years, and that's not acceptable. Honestly, it's not. It's because of that, I would strongly recommend that if you are going to buy this laptop at MSRP pricing, you may want to consider competition like the HP OmniBook 5 or Lenovo's IdeaPad 3 series, which offer a far balanced thermal set and a good, well, balance of features as well. But if you get this laptop on a decent discount, then I think it's a pretty good machine to consider. So that's my honest take on the new Dell 16 laptop. Let me know what you think of this laptop. If you already have it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that like button, sub to our channel. It means the world to us. I'll catch you in the next one.